Hey guys, it's Karen from Green Thumb Gourmet. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to go over how to plant celery and onions from seed and how easy it can be. It's the perfect time of year to do it. It's easier to grow than you think, and there's not a ton of preparation. So stick with me today and let's dive in. So for celery and onions, I treat the initial planting pretty much the same. I use these peat pots. I fill them halfway with quality seed mix, as you can see, and these are biodegradable. I get them off of Amazon, and fill them about halfway with a light seed mix, nothing too heavy. And once you get them filled halfway, put a little bit of bone meal. It will help with root development and bulbing later on. Gives them a little bit of a overall health good start. And just sprinkle about a teaspoon, half a teaspoon in each little peat pot. And now I'm going to add an organic granular fertilizer. Doesn't have to be any specific kind. Add about a half a teaspoon in each little peat pot. And this is going to give your seedlings nutrition as the roots grow through to the bottom of your little peat pot. They're going to be in here for a while, so we need to give them good nutrition in order to help them grow. And now I'm going to top them off with my potting mix. Fill it up to about a 1/4 inch to the top, so you still have a little bit of space to water your seedlings without them floating over the top, which is what we don't want. The seeds are pretty small, and I'm going to show you these are the seeds for celery. They're really, really tiny, as you can see. I have to more or less sprinkle and broadcast them over the top, which is fine because some of them will not germinate. So you want to make sure you sprinkle them pretty liberally over each peat pot. Kind of cover the whole circle. That way, if some of them don't germinate, it won't be as big of a deal. And celery, they're one of the few seeds that need sunlight and light to germinate. So you really don't want to cover them. Maybe just sprinkle just a tiny bit of the potting mix over the top, but this will help keep the moisture in, but don't cover them completely because they are going to need light in order to germinate. It takes celery about 3 weeks to germinate, so be very patient and don't think you did anything wrong. It does take them a long time. I put onions in the other container. I sprinkled those the same way, the seeds, because they're tiny as well. And I'm marking what I put in each tray just because you don't want to forget what it is that you planted because they won't be coming up for a while. And believe me, when you have enough seeds going, sometimes you forget what you put in. And you're just going to cover the onions a little more with a little more soil than you did the celery and pat them down so the soil makes contact with the seeds. And now I'm going to water them in really well. Don't water them hard because the seeds are really tiny and you don't want them floating away. And I'm really going to soak the celery tray as the one I'm doing right now because celery needs a lot of water and a lot of dampness and humidity to grow. And I'm going to keep the little circles on the top of my dome closed in order to keep the moisture in. I'm going to do this with the celery. With the onions, I'm going to keep the little circle open because they do like a little airflow. But celery definitely needs to stay moist for the 3 weeks till they germinate. So I cover them and I put them in a really warm, sunny spot in my garden or on my porch. And eventually, you'll see little tiny little seedlings coming up. This is the celery. It took about 3 weeks. Some of them still haven't popped up, but I'll take this whole container and I'll plant it in the garden. I'll dig a hole in the soil and I'll put the peat pot right in there so I don't disturb any of the roots, and then they'll continue to grow. And I'll do this with the onions as well. This way I never have to pluck them out or disturb their roots or anything. I'll probably wait maybe a few more weeks until I plant them in the garden, but eventually I'll plant them in a planter like this in a container, or I'll put them in right in ground. Either way, I will side dress them with organic granular and some blood meal, which is nitrogen, or liquid nitrogen every 2 weeks because they really need a good start to start growing. These are the little onions popping up. I put the planters right in my garden, and eventually they'll come up about to this size after a few weeks. And then once the weather starts to get warmer and the days start to lengthen, they will bulb up more in the spring. And I put them in containers, I put them in ground, and you'll see them really start to thicken up. And again, side dress them every 2 or 3 weeks with organic fertilizer or the liquid fertilizer, the granular, either kind. Just make sure you stop fertilizing the onions once you see them start to bulb, because then this will inhibit them from bulbing up too well. Keep your celery and onions well watered. Just make sure onions have plenty of drainage and the celery is kept very, very damp because it loves moisture. And as promised, I'm going to give you a recipe out of my keeper book using the veggies that we've been talking about today. This recipe for Acapulco casserole uses plenty of celery and onions and is super yummy and easy to make. I'll type the recipe in the description so you don't have to write it down if you'd like to try and make it yourself. This is what it looks like before you bake it, and you can use several different types of casserole dishes, anything you have handy, 13 by 9 or an oval glass casserole dish like I used here. And this is after it's baked. You can reheat it or you can freeze it and use it for later. It freezes beautifully. Hope you find this recipe heartwarming and as delicious as my family does. So hopefully you got some helpful hints on how to plant your own onions and celery, and it's really not intimidating at all if you follow a few easy steps and you have a little patience. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Drop in the comments if you have any questions or comments for me. I love to hear from you. Until next time, happy gardening.